Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Now today I've got a pretty special interview to bring all of you. Here is two of the guys that are behind the viral marketing for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And I want you guys to go ahead and introduce yourself because we've got a long talk ahead of us.
Hi there, I'm Tim.
And I'm Jack. Some of you might have heard of me before on this channel.
All right, now these guys have done a lot of work on this new Canon explosion that we've gotten. We haven't really had anything like this before, so we've got a lot to talk about. That's all I'm going to really say to kick this thing off. I'm just going to jump into the interview, guys. Now, you've obviously been working a lot on this movie for a long time and haven't been able to talk about it, but one of the things that I think most fans would want to know is, what dinosaurs would you save and why?
I would say I would probably want to save maybe the Triceratops. Because I feel like that not only would they be they can defend themselves well, so I don't think they would have a problem. And they seem quite in the Jurassic Park lore. They seem quite timid to an extent.
To an extent, yeah.
Yeah, to an extent, unless you go with like Jurassic Park the game.
Oh my god!
Where they could be quite aggressive if they hear a car horn. What would you save, Clayton?
Triceratops, I guess. I mean, I don't want to say what you said. I mean, maybe I'd save a stegosaur, but they're pretty
that was
violent.
the other choice.
Well, I guess only when you're like, walking up to their babies and stuff. But
the ones I would definitely not save 100% would be the compies.
Ah, man, having a pet compy on your shoulder might be pretty cool, though.
Nah,
Probably eat your ear.
Yeah, and I'm going by the Jurassic Park dinosaurs, like not real life, obviously, because that's a whole different side of the coin. But the compies, the way they're presented in the Jurassic Park universe, seem the most. They will breed uncontrollably, super fast,
Didn't think about that.
They hunt in groups. Their bite might even be like I want to say poisonous, not venomous. Like because they have like bacteria and stuff in their mouths. I think that was the right one. Poison venom.
I guess here's a question. You guys might be able to answer. And with Adopt a Dinosaur, that was one of the big themes of the Dinosaur Protection Group campaign. Which dinosaur did you choose, or did you first choose if you did more than one?
I only did the one.
So that's probably going to be the dinosaur that you save, right?
Triceratops.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And see, I chose the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh, I went Mosasaurus, and that's not even a dinosaur.
Well, we've got some love for the well, you guys have some. I don't know if I'd save any of the predators, but it's good to know that you're out there trying to save them.
Yeah, and look at the three of us. We just saved 3 dinosaurs, so there you go.
Yeah,
and they're all different.
There you go. Mills would be happy.
Yeah, he would be very happy. All right, so this is a big one. I think a lot of fans are going to want to answer to this. What does it feel like being responsible for tying up loose ends in canon? Because God knows we had a lot of them.
So, it obviously, on one hand, it feels absolutely amazing to be like fans who are given the responsibility and the chance to tackle expanding the lore. But on the other hand, it was, we had a huge responsibility to give fans what they've wanted for like so long. For years, decades, fans have been asking or even speculating about like, oh, well, what about like the Santiago incident? Did anyone film the T-Rex? Or what about the dinosaurs that Nedry stole? Like there were 15 species on the island. What were those 15 species? And the Spinosaurus was another one. It's like, oh, where did the Spinosaurus come from? What was that all about? And why wasn't it on InGen's list? So when Universal and Colin approached us and said, like, we want you to make a website that's an activist website about saving the dinosaurs and arguing that, the first thing that came to our minds was like, what do activists do? And we looked at like real life examples. And one of the things they do is they pull the rug from underneath the bigwigs and the people who they feel like are doing wrong in the world. And so we used this website as an opportunity to unearth like InGen's dirty laundry and Masrani's secrets to bring to the public of the in-universe public and the real world, the fans in the real world, finally like bring up those things that they've been asking for so long. Because, you know, quite frankly, like we were like, well, the story of the film is going, it's facing forwards, right? It does that, like they have characters and stuff that talk about the past, and they sort of change the past a lot in this new film. But the sort of the ship is heading into the future, right?
Oh yeah.
So we were like, okay, so we're like the only ones who are like gonna have this responsibility to tie up some of the loose ends, and hopefully do it in a way that was very interactive and puts the user of the site like in the world of Jurassic, so they could experience that. And obviously using the loose ends, we were hoping to actually drum up some feelings, to actually be like to for lack of a better term, annoy some fans, to be like, damn, these dinosaurs are in such a crap situation now. Like, we need to save them, because if not, they are going to start to go extinct, right? And that's like, make it feel real. Because there's a lot of time that has passed between these films. So that gave us a lot of opportunity to fill in some of the blanks and really explore it. And it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of research, and hopefully we left no stone unturned. So, yeah, Tim, what was it like for you?
That was such a good response. All right. I mean, how do I beat that? Yeah. How do I come up after that? Look, I've always seen the Masrani Global website, as well as the Dinosaur Protection Group websites, as almost bridges in terms of the canon. You had the Masrani Global website, which the intention was to obviously promote Jurassic World, but also bridge the gap between the first three films, which we all love so much, and Jurassic World. And you had like a very large gap in between that period. And the Dinosaur Protection Group website is obviously there to fit in between Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom. But there was a huge opportunity there, as Jack said, to dive into some of the earlier stuff that InGen was doing. And the privilege to be able to do this is just incredible. A very, very humbling experience, but you have so much fun doing that. And again, as Jack said, what you want to do is you want to be able to look out for what fans have been sort of wanting to hear for so long, and you sort of want to take those elements, and like sometimes you can directly answer it. Sometimes you sort of you lean in one direction and you want to leave the door open. Because it's also very important that we don't want to we never wanted to specifically, in some aspects, completely write new facts into the canon, because what that does is it can create complications down the track if something else pops up, and as well it sort of limits the amount of creativity that Colin and now Emily are going to have. So we very much want to work with their ideas and leave doors open.
Yeah, I mean, so a good example of that is like when we were approached to do this, the first question, and they were saying, telling us the premise of the new film. They were saying the last dinosaurs remain on Isla Nublar, and obviously being fans, we were like, well, what about Sauna? There's this whole other island full of dinosaurs. What about that? And they actually said we have complete creative control to answer that. And so we were like, oh crap, where do we begin? So obviously we go back to the source, to Michael Crichton, and in the second book he talks about behavioral extinction. So and we're like, okay. And then I went back through the Jurassic Park 3 promotional material, watched a lot of making of for that, to learn about the Spinosaurus. And they were talking about, Jack Horner was very adamant that this Spinosaurus was designed to be a dinosaur that could cause an extinction on the island.
Oh yeah.
And they even had trailers where the voiceover guy was like, an experiment abandoned and all that. So we were like, okay, so here we have an opportunity to introduce the origin of the Spinosaurus, but also, as Tim just mentioned, we don't completely close the book on things like that. So obviously, if the filmmakers ever want to go back to that island in the future, we've left it restricted. We've left it semi-mysterious with what actually happened there. So if the filmmakers in the future ever want to go back there and explore, they can. But if they don't, then what we've said is the last thing you'll probably hear about it at this time. So yeah, it's a balance. There's a lot to juggle, and like I mentioned a minute ago, there's no stone left unturned, and there's a lot of stones in the Jurassic Park lore that we're still covering up stuff. So And like I said, I just hope that we've done the best we can to sort of give fans what they want, because it was a huge responsibility. And like I mentioned just a few seconds ago, we had no idea how much creative freedom we would have with this compared to Masrani Global, because that website was more the corporate selling the idea of this open park. And we dabbled in a bit of the past, but not as much. More so when we launched the backdoor terminal for the Blu-ray release. We had a lot of fun with that, going backwards in time. But this time it was all like everything's open. So the world's your oyster. So how do you want to connect the dots? And so we research everything we can, even down to lines of dialogue in the movies where Peter Malcolm says to Peter Ludlow, you convinced the Skeptical Inquirer in the Washington Post, of lies, basically. So we in the old article, I believe we talk about Ludlow spreading rumors and all that sort of stuff, because it's already in the film, but they're details that a lot of people will tend to overlook, but we want to sort of enhance already established facts, as Tim mentioned. So it wasn't, we were working within parameters, is what I'm trying to say, as well as being creatively free to do as we please.
Well, as a Michael Crichton fan, I can tell you that I was quite happy to see what you put into the viral marketing, and that's actually leading into my third question. How much of Michael Crichton's novels did you guys put into the movie lore?
As much as we thought it fit. So as much as we felt like it was necessary. As I just mentioned, the whole sauna thing, we lent heavily on what Malcolm's character speculates about in that
Lost World, right?
Yeah, and I mentioned the Spinosaurus being one thing, but it wasn't just that. We do mention disease. We mention in-universe scientists predicting what happened, so they give 3 or 4 different answers, and then it's up to sort of the reader to determine what they feel could have been the likely cause of it.
And I think to supplement that as well, everyone loved how in Michael Crichton's novels, the dinosaurs all have version numbers, and that's something that you'll find on the InGen list as well, which is also part of the Dinosaur Protection Group website. So
I love that.
Sometimes it's the small, sometimes it's the small scientific bits, which really go a long way.
Yeah, and just little bits here and there, tiny little details, but obviously there's a lot of ideas in those books, and so a good example is another good example of something from the books that we added was when I was creating the InGen list for the Gene Guard article. I was writing down what dinosaurs were where on which island, and so I did my research of what dinosaurs the fans knew existed at that time, and obviously the Carnotaurus was around at that time, so I wrote that 2 Carnotaurus.
2 of them, yes.
Yeah, were on sauna at the time when in 1997 or 1996, I think the year I wrote. So just little nods like that to Crichton's book. I think I added a few more in there, but my memory's shot right now, so I'm just trying to remember, because we did write quite a bit.
I suppose it's not also elements of facts which are taken from Crichton's novels as well. I'm just thinking, Jack, that some of the dialogue as well, the way, for example, Henry Woo speaks. We tried to sort of use both the screenplays as well as the books to get a sense of understanding as to what would this character do and what wouldn't they do. And I think Henry Woo certainly featured quite a lot in that.
Yeah.
Well, Woo is a mystery to this day. I mean, that's one of my favorite characters, actually, that doesn't whenever you say Jurassic Park, no one brings, Woo, man, Dr. Woo. It's just, he's so behind closed doors, doing his own thing, and it's fun to see that explored. So,
yeah, we wrote a little bit about what's happened to Woo in the DVG. I think the latest blog that went out mentions that the FBI raided his laboratories, so that's why he needs the Indominus spray to go back to the island to go retrieve it, because as soon as the park fell and Claire started talking about his involvement after Hoskins, the people wanted him, and so then he's been hiding for all these years. But I love when you go back and watch the first film now, and you get lines of dialogue where he says we simply deny them that when he's talking about
right, yeah,
denying the dinosaurs certain chromosomes, and he says, like, it's really not that difficult, is another line that he says. And it's like, yeah, his cockiness is there. I think in the Michael Crichton's original novel, they talk about how Hammond pulled Whoo out of university at a very young age and gave him all the funding in the world. So it's obviously gone to his head. And I get the sense that that is the character we're seeing in the movies. I don't really see a difference between Whoo in the film and Whoo in the book. They're very similar. I mean, Whoo in the film, now we're seeing a Whoo years after where the Lost World novel finished.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing a very jaded Whoo, but someone who's still, reaching for those heights of hubris, should I say.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, he's played a much larger role in these Jurassic World movies than he ever did in the original trilogy. And, I'm sure they're going to expand upon him in the next film, but that's another thing I wanted to ask you guys. Working with Dr. Whoo and his expansion was obviously something Colin wanted to do. And with that being said, what is that like working with Colin Trevorrow? Because that's something that I'm sure every fan would be like, oh my God, the guy that revived Jurassic Park? And you guys work with him.
Tim, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, dude, it's fantastic. And I think I actually might start this response by maybe going back and explaining or describing the first time we met Colin. I can go from there. So we Universal, back when we were doing the Most Running Global campaign, they got us to come over to Los Angeles, and there was going to be a meeting set up to meet Colin over at the Kennedy Marshall Studios in Santa Monica. And Colin, I remember Jack and I, we turned up early, and I've got to say that the meeting room at Frank Marshall's office is amazing. You literally have over in the corner, you've got Marty McFly's shoes from Back to the Future Part 2 in a glass case. So there's some really cool stuff in that room. There's
when they sat on top of that yellow nuclear box that Doc Brown has, they were sat on top of that, weren't they?
Yeah, it's just, there's some really cool stuff in that room.
Yeah, they have like Phil Tippett's Go Motion T-Rex on top of the car in a glass case and a compy and all that. Yeah, it was a dream walking around that office, like looking around like, oh, there's a compy in glass right there, and oh, there's the Dilophosaurus head just over there. It's like, it's crazy. They just sat there.
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say is when Colin walked into the room for the first time, we sort of didn't know what to expect. He'd obviously been gracious enough to sort of find out about the fun Patel website that we did and get us involved in this campaign, but we didn't fully know how to expect him as a person. And I remember the first time he walks in and he just sees both of us and he points straight at the Marty McFly shoes and he goes, like, isn't that something? Like, and I think just from that type of expression, you knew straight away that this is a normal guy who's a fan of science fiction as well. He's a fan of all the stuff that we grew up with. And I remember him in that meeting as we were presenting our ideas for what the Most Running Global website would be. He was so into it. He was so happy for us, and he was very. I think one of the first things I picked up, Jack, was that he was very. He knows his characters like they're real people.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and if I remember we were talking about Lowry at one point, and he's like, "Oh no, Lowry wouldn't do that." And it's just like he's so interesting and almost charismatic to work with because of this the language that he's using with his characters, and that's something that was I think for me a really, really good thing to pick up on.
He's very subtle with his characters, isn't he? Like he won't have them sort of go on an overblown explanation of like really who they are. He'll just get to the point and be like, "This is who they are," and then you get to see them act in that world.
Absolutely.
With the viral marketing, we obviously you have the chance to explore these characters a little bit more, like blogs and articles that are written by them. And with this campaign, something was different to the DPG campaign and the Extinction Now campaign compared to the Masrani Global one. Was we had social media accounts, so we were actually writing as these characters, talking to the public. So we really had to understand the characters, and Colin really helped with that, like just explaining it in such a easy, as Tim said, charismatic way that we're like, yeah, okay, we get the character now. So you know, the only thing was like a funny little thing is I thought Zaya was British for a while. I don't know where I picked that up from, and I was like telling to Colin, I was like, oh, you know, shall I make sure that her writing's all in English or something? He's like, English? What do you mean? Like, she's American? I was like, oh, is she? And it's like, I don't know where I got that from, but luckily he picked up on it.
I think she came out, didn't she? Before filming, she came out with like a video or something on.
Oh, Daniela Pineda, yeah, she was doing a British accent in an Instagram video.
She did. I'm going to tell you a spoiler. There's dinosaurs in this film, but she said it in a real British way, and I remember that's right. We thought she was British.
That must have been really convincing. Jeez.
But yeah, working with Colin, he's a fan like of this franchise in such a big way, but he understands that like the way these films are going to really like resonate with people is if they're facing forwards, like I said, like they're pushing the story forwards. And so that's why he's sort of, I know, so gracious for this, has given us the chance to really explore the backstory that we grew up with and what we've been speculating for so long with other fans, and you know, expand upon that. But yeah, he is a hardcore Jurassic fan at heart, and when we had a meeting with him in early December last year to go over like some of the details of like, you know, what we were going to be writing about for a few articles coming up for the DPG, he was just like so into it and was like asking us questions. We were like, oh, so you know about that detail? And he's like, yeah, I know about that. And he's like, so we got to make sure we answer that and make sure this gets answered, and you know, and this, that, and the other. And it just felt like I was talking to someone like yourself, Clayton, like someone who's just in the fandom. You know, and you get this air that he like can't believe that he's gotten to this point in his life where he's controlling the Jurassic Park franchise, and yeah, so yeah, he's definitely a fan.
Definitely a fan. One thing I'd probably add there as well is that this isn't just a case of Jack and I coming up with stuff when it gets published onto a website. Colin's actually involved in the creative process of what we've done for both Masrani Global, DPG, as well as Extinction Now. And you know, that's fantastic as well. So you know, we will come up with an idea, we'll shoot it back, and you know, Colin adds his input, and you know,
and he's honest. If he doesn't like something, he'll let us know. And that was something we were like, make sure you tell us if you don't like something, and we'll, you know, work around it or cut it completely. So
I was even going to say, some of the stuff which gets published on the website isn't even our idea; it's Colin's idea.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's probably something that people don't realize. I remember with the Masrani Global website, you'll remember that we had a separate page for each of the companies, and there was an InGen page. And something that Colin really wanted was, well, how about the InGen security page? You know, is that something that we can do? So that was actually his idea, to get that on the website.
Yeah,
if you remember that.
Yeah, and so also with the new campaign, like we originally had the idea for Extinction Now right at the beginning. We were like, we have to have the argument going backwards and forward, and then we actually agreed with Universal when we were kicking it off that actually we should probably swing the focus to the DPG, because there's a lot of lore to cover. There's a lot of stuff we need to write about. And so we all agreed actually we'll stick to the DPG. And then halfway through the campaign, Colin emails me and Tim and's like, we need the other side of the argument, I think. We're like, okay, so that's something we need to bring into it now. So then we agreed that actually it'd be quite a good idea, because there was that hideous gap between the international and the US release. You know, for the fans, and we thought, you know, it'd be a good idea to launch it in between then, to sort of you know, ruffle some feathers in between the two, and get the debate really going, and get that feeling of like urgency going before the film's released in the US. And you know, Manuel is a CG artist who works for our company, and he comes to us and he's like, oh yeah, no, this whole Extinction Now thing, I've made this, and he just sent us the San Diego video, which we were just blown up, just completely blew us out of the water. We were like, this is something fans have been talking about for years, and we're seeing it now. I said to Manuel, I was like, if you don't mind, I want to do the sound. So I worked on the sound, and then he added some more people running around and all this sort of stuff. And then we sent it to Colin.
Incredible as well.
And Colin was like, yep, it's done. Just shove it in. Put it in. He's like, it's done. You've nailed it. Out of the park. Go. You got to put that in the campaign. That's awesome. So we did.
Yeah, I remember you said that's awesome, and that was really cool. So I think again, when Colin says he likes something, it's like it's almost like he'd do a yes, like which is great. And likewise when it gets out there and you see the fans responding, it's like yes, it's a great feeling.
Oh yeah, totally. I can imagine, especially with the Santiago incident thing. That was something that I know for me personally, I'm a huge Lost World guy, and that was just like a oh my God moment, I never imagined we would even get that acknowledged again to some degree because of, the difference of opinion on that particular movie. But
well, the thing is,
that's incredible.
All the 5 movies that so far, and obviously the 6th one's being made, they're all canon. And so Colin, when we were making the DPG, and we worked together to say it's very important, this San Diego incident, regardless of what people think of that scene in the film, it's very important to the lore because that's the first time the public saw the dinosaurs. That's
hugely important.
Yeah, it's the first time that the people realized Malcolm was correct, that InGen was doing dangerous things. And so it's huge, and for an activist website, that's a hugely important and pivotal moment in the history. So we didn't ever want to just brush over it. We wanted to really bring it up quite a few times. So we have on the front page the testimonials of people who support the DPG, and one of them is from someone who watched the T-Rex rampage down. I can't remember. Was it Sunset Boulevard? I think is it that? I can't remember now. But that street mentioned is the actual street that it rampages down in the film when it eats David Coep, I believe. And then obviously we have the Gene Guard article. We have the picture, someone took a picture of it after it bit the traffic light off the pole, and I took 18 different stills from the film because obviously all their assets for that scene have long since been archived somewhere or lost or something. We didn't have time to find it, so I had to create it from taking scenes from the film and trying to create a completely new image out of it. And then Manuel with this video, and we're like, right, that's done. I think we've covered that this is an important moment in the history.
Well, yeah, totally. I mean, that's one of my favorite things that's come out of this whole franchise in the past forever. I love it. I think it's incredible. And by the way, talking about Colin, talking about all these ideas that you guys bounced together, you were really privileged to visit the set for Fallen Kingdom.
Yes.
Tell
several
me.
Several of the sets.
Really?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Tim, do you want to start this one?
Well, it's funny because Jack's already living in the UK, and I think you had a 2-hour train ride or something to get there, and I had to come all the way from Australia. So by the time I get there, I'm half dead. But when we got word that we could, we were about to be invited to go on the set, we were just like, wow, never in our wildest dreams could we imagine.
And that was before we signed anything, right? That was before we knew that we'd even got the job. The first thing we hear is you're coming to the set. So we're like, oh, what? What's happening now? And I was just blown away that a Jurassic movie was being filmed in the UK. Even though it was in the studio at Shepperton, it was just at Pinewood, it was just to have it, Tim said, 2 hours away from my house was oh crap, this is a dream come true. I'd already been happy with our work with Masrani Global as a kind of life achievement, but then to have Jurassic just 2 hours down the road and we're going to go there was something else.
Absolutely.
And what set was it, out of curiosity? The first set that you visited?
Well, so we saw one set being filmed, and we had a tour of all the other sets that they were building, as well as the Creature Studio. So that was kind of cool. So the set we specifically went there for the Dinosaur Protection Group, and so the filming, or the trip was done in such a way that we arrived when they were filming the scene that you see, which is set in San Francisco with Claire Deering running the Dinosaur Protection Group. So we were seeing that scene being filmed, and from my recollection, what we saw being filmed on that day was actually a lot longer than the cut that's in the film.
Oh, really?
So they did do a little bit more background about the DPG, and I remember they were trying to show that they're actually a struggling non-for-profit. and they couldn't even afford to pay the rent. That's what I remember of that day.
Huh.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if our
just-
campaign had a bit of a swing on that because because the campaign got very successful. So it's like, oh, okay, maybe the DPG aren't as struggling as we what we saw them filming. But we were there for when like Claire comes up in the lift, and you get the sense that they're struggling because the lift doors don't open properly and all that. But yeah, we're there. We're behind the wall somewhere. Like when they're looking at the news on the TV, we're somewhere behind there. But that's that's not actually at Shepperton. That was filmed in where is it now?
That's right. We had to drive to a separate location for that one.
Yeah, it was in a warehouse it's where the office is set. I forget where it is now. Where the British office is set. Slough.
And I tell you what,
Slough.
There must have been like maybe 15 people in that scene, but you probably had like 100 people behind the camera. Like it was,
I can
there were people
imagine
everywhere.
And it was like really cheeky because obviously everyone's there on set. Colin, we bumped into him when he was there, but then we mainly worked with speaking to Frank Marshall and Pat Crowley on the day to go basically give them a heads up of what we were going to be doing with Universal, and the Universal marketing director and teams were showing us around and stuff. And then they were like, oh, while we're here and we've got Bryce and Daniela and Franklin, like, should we, do you want to write some lines for them to record to the camera for the viral videos for your website? And we're like, what? And they're like, yeah, we'll write down a load of ideas really quickly in a bit of paper. We'll talk to their assistants and see if they'll agree. And then they did. And then they said, we'll be using the actual film cameras to record these as well, because we've got it all here, so we might as well do it. So we handed those off and they went and did it. And then we had to wait months until we get the videos back. But that's what you see in the thing. And some of our lines have actually made it in. I haven't got the list right in front of me. But like just little lines like, adopt the dino today and all that sort of stuff.
So technically, you and Tim and Jack directed a little bit of a Jurassic Park short film.
a little bit, yeah.
Technically you did. It's canon too.
Yeah. But there was a funny moment in that moment on that set, because we were sitting there, we were writing these lines, and I look up, me and Tim both look over our shoulders, and there's these people working on computers around this table. And they're all CG artists, and we look up and we see the Endoraptor like climbing across a roof. In like not finished, like it's being animated right there, and we're like, wow. And it must have been like preparing for the trailer, like the trailer scenes are getting done really, like, because obviously they have to be done a lot like ahead of time, like a lot,
And don't forget that this trip was in I think March 2017, and you think of the date now, so they already, and it wasn't a complete CGI footage as well, it was like a wireframe from memory.
We saw the apatosaurs running away from the volcano as well, and that was that low shot of the heads running out of the trees, and that shot, and that was all like gray, like it wasn't wireframe, but it was like all gray, smooth,
no textures,
CGI,
right?
No textures, but me and Tim were like, and then the Universal were like, oh, you're not meant to be seeing that just yet, because obviously we hadn't signed anything yet, so we were like, we didn't feel like we should be seeing any of this, but it was one of those funny little moments where we caught something that we shouldn't.
Jack, do you want to maybe mention some of the other sets we had?
I was just about to say right next to the DPG set in this same warehouse was the bar set, so that was like right next door to it. Where Claire tries to convince Owen to go to the island, and so we walked around that, and we got to show that. And at the time, I had a part-time job at a bar, so I was trying to convince them that I should play a part of a barman, but didn't get it. I was like, I am actually a barman right now, so I've got the credentials to work behind the bar. But then we saw the Arcadia being built, the interior of the Arcadia, which was absolutely humongous. The ship, like, interior was huge. Because they had to get all the trucks in there and stuff. And then we also went to, and this was one of my favorite ones, we went to the underground bunker where the baryonyx attacks, and that was amazing, because I was like, even though I'm in London, we're and I looked at him, I was like, we're stood on Nublar right now, like we're actually on Nublar. And to stand like sort of in like the sort of near the entrance of the tunnel where the baryonyx comes through was like amazing. The detail in there was crazy because all the tech on the wall was like a blend of Jurassic World and Jurassic Park.
Yes.
I don't know if you caught it in the film, but when Claire like presses a button on the wall, like
I heard it.
Effect,
Yeah,
it's
I heard
exactly
it.
the same as the old park. But yeah, and it was good to see it in the film as well because then I got to gauge how like tall the Baryonyx was, and I was like, oh, that gives me a good perspective of like how big this animal was, and that was a huge set. That bunker, tight and claustrophobic, but still like grand because they have to get the cameras in there and this, that, and the other. But then we went to like Maisie's bedroom and a few other sets, but then the big one that we were completely blown away by was Lockwood's Manor, like that where the Triceratops skull is, and all the like statues in the glass. That was connected to the staircase where the Hammond picture was, with the other paleontologists, and I was just blown away, and that instantly became my favorite set from any Jurassic film so far. Like,
it's beautiful.
And
that set was, I mean, if I remember, Jack, if you stood in the middle of that set and you didn't look up, you would think that you're not in a warehouse. You would think that you are in a mansion. It was so well built. It was so well built that the stairs, don't forget that, this is all carpenters coming together and piecing something together. You could walk up the stairs of that set and you would be, you'd still be, within the Lockwood Manor. Like this thing, they built a part of a mansion.
That coil staircase they climb up to get away from the Endoraptor. You could go up that to the top floor and go to Lockwood's office. And the detail around his office was like crazy. All the little bits of paper, pictures of him with like his daughter, and all that sort of stuff. It was like, wow, this is really cool.
So I remember we went up the stairs where Maisie's running from the Indoraptor. So that's the stairs that we went up. And I remember just at the base of the stairs was a portrait picture of John Hammond. And when we saw that, we were just like, wow, this movie's going to be cool.
I remember asking someone, I was like, so who gets to take the picture home? Like, and they said, oh, someone's already got that. And I was like, okay, I think I know who might have that one. But that was huge. That picture of Hammond was really big and really well
massive.
Done. That
awesome.
set was insanely detailed, and I can't wait like for the Blu-ray so people can hopefully see like all the different statues they had, because some of them, from what I remember, don't make it into the film.
Oh, really?
As far as I can see, there's I think there's 8 in total, like 4 on each side, and they're really big. Like all of them are really big. And I remember seeing the Dilophosaur versus Raptor one, which features prominently in the film. At the time, didn't realize it was going to feature prominently in the film. I thought it was just going to be a background thing, and I was just looking at that orange striped raptor, just like like it has been so long since I've seen one of these. Like, it's just insanely cool. And I'm someone who's a big fan of like old King Kong movies, and the old Lost World and Doug McClure's, like all those big old dinosaur B movies I'm a fan of. So to be in a room where they had like these old school like statues of dinosaurs, like they had a Dimetrodon in there.
Dimetrodon.
And it looked so like old school and retro that I was like, this is my favorite set. It's like being in a museum and knowing that there's going to be dinosaurs running around here. It was like, it was taking it to the next level,
I guess to answer the question of, why did we have to go to the set? Why couldn't we just work, from our respective locations and work on this campaign? Ultimately, it was all about that dinosaur protection group office set, because from the moment we saw it and from the moment we stepped in between takes and got to walk around, Jack and I knew exactly what we had to do.
Yes.
From the design of their posters to the news articles they had scattered around the office. We had an instant feel of, this is going to be a non-profit entity. They're going to be like digging up the past, trying to expose lies. They're going to have a website which it mimics some of the wildlife foundations that you see in today's world. We had a very good sense of what needed to be done.
Right down from when we walked in and saw that there was like a pile of placards in the corner, and one of them had the Masrani Global logo with a big cross through it, and we were like,
that's right. Like, no,
okay,
that's
so
right.
we're going to have to unearth Masrani's secrets here, and like that's where we understood that we knew we could do that, and we're like, that excites us because obviously that means we get to go into the backstory, like unearth their secrets, and they don't like the company that we originally were marketing, and I that was something I really loved, was being the opposite of Masrani Global this time, you know.
That being said, with your adventures around the sets and all, I want to jump into this next one. What dinosaurs did you guys get the most excited to write about?
Oh, speaking of dinosaurs, do you want to hear about the creature shop?
I'd love to hear about the creature shop.
So we didn't realize we were going to go in there. I think this was like a last minute thing, wasn't it, Tim? Like towards the end of the day, they were like, do you want to go see the dinosaurs? And we're like, what?
Well, I didn't even think that. I mean, I sort of knew that there was something there. Yeah, I didn't think we'd be allowed in, but you know, just when they said, you know, do you want to see it? It's like, yeah.
Is that a question?
Is that a question? Exactly.
So they opened the door to this like warehouse, and right in front of us is the Endoraptor's arm leaning against the wall, and we're like, oh my word, what is that? Like, because obviously at the time we hadn't really seen the Endoraptor. And then they're like, oh, that's the new villain's arm, and it was huge, like it was massive, as big as you see it, like with Maisie in the film when it's reaching out to her. And then we turn the corner, and there's the T-Rex just lying there, like
my god,
the T-Rex is lying there, but it wasn't painted. It was all in like you know, the rubber skin, and they had a test skin on the actual animatronic that was raised up on the like where the puppeteers sit under it, and then they had the hero skin that they were still working on this like frame towards the ground. And we went up there, and you know, I couldn't help myself. I had to stick my head right in its mouth just to see what Gennaro would have seen. And they were adding the scars onto the side and all this sort of stuff. And it was like, we felt the rubber very carefully, and it was just like so soft and all that. And it was just one of those moments as a fan, you're just like, how did I get here? Like, honestly. And then we go into another room, and there's Blue being painted. You know, the whole Blue animatronic where she's been shot, and we got to speak to the artist. Apologies for forgetting his name. Some fan will pull it up. But yeah, he told us all about the process, and they had all these images of like different animals that they were taking inspiration from around the wall. And they had the Endoraptor's head and all the like T-Rex's maquette head and stuff. And then we got to meet the baby raptors, the puppets that they used for the CG stand-in. And got to puppeteer Blue a little bit, and like both moving the head pole, and it was just like, yeah, it was amazing. We didn't actually see the Stegosaurus that's featured in the film, and I think there's a couple of other little bits that we didn't get to see because it was very early in the process still.
It was, yeah. I remember Blue was like the first completed animatronic dinosaur, and you know, she looked amazing. She was just so real.
The detail is just
insane. Yeah, absolutely.
And I was surprised that like they took it to the premiere, like they took the animatronics except for the T-Rex to the premiere and had them all there. I was like, oh, someone's gonna like break something off here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, these are very delicate like puppets, and but yeah, the detail is just you know, something to behold when you're there looking at this raptor, and you get closer and closer with your head, and it just like gets more and more detail as you go in. Yeah, it was just one of those moments. It was just like incredible.
All right, so with that being said, and you're you know, throwing that in everyone's faces that's listening to this, your amazing trip to the creature shop.
I wish we could have filmed some stuff and like shot some photos, but they were very strict. Nothing. So
I can only imagine.
For it. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that. But then you see like pictures of stuff leaking, and you're like, how did you get to like take a photo?
A lot got leaked.
Yeah, so it's like, but it's a memory that we'll treasure forever.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sure everyone understands that. And, okay, so were any of these animatronic dinosaurs, or any of the CG models that you saw, were they any of the ones that you got excited to write about the most? I mean, what dinosaurs did you guys sit down and like, we're going to talk about this because, damn it, it's a dinosaur we love?
Yeah, I mean, T-Rex. Well, T-Rex. The T-Rex was the one I was very excited to write about, mainly because we knew we had to tackle how she survived for so many years on the island. So we knew we were going to have an article that Obviously, we're fighting for dinosaur rights with the DPG, so we knew we had to cover the controversial aspects of, hey, we should save these giant, massive super predators. So we had to give some reasoning behind that, and that gave us an opportunity to write about her life on the island. And I was especially proud of writing about how she was birthed on Sauna with others of her kind, and then she got shipped over, and we wrote how there was going to be 2 on the island because the paddock on the JurassicWorld.com website, the T-Rex paddock from the original film, says it was built to house 2 T-Rexes.
From the novel.
Which is from the novel, yeah. But we knew fans were like, oh, there wasn't 2 there. So we were like, well, it was planned to, and then they didn't take the second one over in time. But yeah, the T-Rex. And then I would say my other answer is from a personal thing, the Spinosaurus. Even though it doesn't appear in the film, to cover that dinosaur, I was so excited to bring that origin to life and give some credence to Jurassic Park 3 and give some weight to what Jurassic Park 3 set up and no one ever finished. And also, dare I say it, when I was writing the InGen list, I was excited to write about all of the ones that we have been speculating on for years, like the Herrerasaurus and what happened to the Proceratops.
That was a big one for me. I'm very pleased with that answer.
Yeah, we left it out to begin with when we really revealed the list. It was going to come to 2 sections, so I knew I had to cover what happened to the Proceratops, and we used Nedry's his sabotage of the park as a way of saying, hey, he made that dinosaur go extinct.
Bastard.
Yeah, exactly. So it also adds another level of delicate these powerful animals can actually be by the hands of man. But I actually have the list with me, a physical list. And something that the fans might not know is obviously Jurassic Park the game is quite prevalent in the fandom as something that a lot of fans consider canon, a lot of fans don't consider canon. But we wanted to ride that line of doing that. So the original list that I actually have, the printed off version, actually has the Troodon mentioned in it. And I'll read what I wrote here. It says it was previous status was active and the current status is terminated. DNA is 0%. It says viable embryos were destroyed before sabotage took place. Assets were thought to be terminated by blank. We all know who that was.
Dr. Sorkin, yeah.
But evidence suggests that they were moved to a secret quarantine pens before the power loss released them back into the wild. All evidence suggests that this animal has been killed off. The regrowth, and then in block capitals, the regrowth of this asset is strictly prohibited. And that was going to be another dinosaur along with the Proceratops that was going to be one that's gone extinct since. But then I realized when I went through Laura Sorkin's journal from the game, she mentioned that all records were destroyed. So I was like, okay, so I can actually admit that. And it still makes sense. But yeah, we were covering all that sort of stuff. But I loved writing about all the dinosaurs that we've haven't heard about for ages, or the Carnotauruses being on Sauna and all that.
I guess from me, I might answer this slightly differently because I suppose apart from some of the writing, I'm also responsible from my end on what the website looked like.
Yes.
And one difference obviously with the Masrani Global website was that we didn't have any dinosaurs on the Masrani Global website. We were supposed to be pushing for Simon Masrani's company and more InGen.
Keeping the dinosaurs a secret for the fans, so when they go see the film.
And to be fair, the JurassicWorld.com website was for the park, which obviously had the dinosaurs. Whereas this time around, we got to play. And so one of the things which I remember I really pushed for was for us to have dinosaur pictures on the front. And I remember, and this is almost something that didn't happen. That's another story. On the banner of the Dinosaur Protection Group website in the top right hand corner, you've got the T-Rex.
Yep.
Had to have the T-Rex. Had to
have the T-Rex, and that almost didn't happen. But we were lucky. I think we had Colin on our side there, so that was good.
Yeah, because you look at other activist websites like in real life, and they tend to have pictures of the animals on the homepage. So that was what made it into the banner, and we were so happy. We're like, last time we didn't get to deal with any of the dinosaurs, and this time the website is littered with dinosaurs. So
the star attraction of Jurassic Park, it has to be on the front of the Dinosaur Protection Group website.
I remember when we received the ILM renders that they've been using all over the promotional materials, but those renders that they've sent us, they are so detailed. Like the ones you see on like crisp packets and like box art, obviously that lose a lot of detail because they've been like compressed. But when you look at the uncompressed files, my word, like you can go right in and see drool and see like scratches on the teeth, and it's just like unreal. Like the ILM renders are beautiful to look at.
Yeah, they've gone through a lot of work.
All right, now, Tim, you've brought up your love for the Tyrannosaurus, so I'm going to throw a doozy at you guys. What happened to the Tyrannosaur family on Sorna?
Jack. Jack's got an answer.
Okay,
these are the type of questions I prefer to stay away from.
Well, I can say it like this. So obviously we had to swing the focus in this campaign to Nublar. Like the whole campaign is like Nublar is where the dinosaurs are, on the brink of extinction. So we wrote the whole like backstory of Sorna and what happened there. And like we mentioned previously, we left some doors open. So if the filmmakers ever want to go back to that island and maybe find that something has survived, then that's what might happen. But for the time being, the T-Rex family were... we've left a lot of like dialogue on the website that says things like, the dinosaurs were shipped to and from the islands during the making of Jurassic World. So, for the time being, everyone in the universe of Jurassic believes that island is deserted, but for the keen readers out there will notice that Masrani Global still own that island at this current time. They do. And it's still restricted. So who knows? Who knows what happened to the Tyrannosaur family from Sorna? It's still up in the air. As someone who's a fan of that, I like to think that at least one of them is still alive.
The baby's got to be there somewhere limping around.
Or the bull. I'm all for the bull.
Well, the bull is my favorite T-Rex in the whole series, so of course. Yeah. Well, it's
we didn't want to just flat out write they're dead, because that's just cruel. We don't want it, so we've left it open and up in the air. So, like I said, if the filmmakers ever want to go there in the future, we honestly don't know if they ever do. But if they do, then the door's open for them to very easily bring them back. So
yeah, of course, yeah. So Site B has been left abandoned, restricted, owned by Masrani Global, nothing to do with Lockwood or anyone, and kind of volcanic with all that geothermal energy underneath there getting pumped up. So I'm not so sure we'll see it again, but here's hoping.
Fingers crossed.
Right. Yeah, fingers crossed. Let's see the bull and the doe hanging out with Limpy somewhere. All right. Can you tell the other Jurassic fans what the process is like when you have a new idea for the lore? How do you get it started? How do you present it to Colin? What the conversation is like?
Tim, do you want to handle this one for your Masrani Global art? Because you wrote, you started with the whole, the rise and fall of Masrani Global.
Yeah, I suppose, to begin with, I'd say that our objective is first and foremostly to promote Derek and Colin's story. If we're not doing that, it's game over. Get out of here.
Right.
So we always try to take the elements that they really want to push in the film, and that's where we start with. The second thing, if we can do it, is obviously to try and bridge certain aspects of the canon. So, can we mention events that happened in 1993 or 1997? Can we incorporate that into the website at all? And the third thing is can we come up with something ourselves which is within the bounds and the rules and the laws of Jurassic, and can we work with Colin to push a new idea across? So those are sort of the three hierarchical levels that we work within. Jack, do you want to maybe go on from there?
Yeah, it's so you have an idea and then you weigh it up between each other. So me and Tim will talk about this idea and weigh it up between ourselves to be like, would this work? And even we have our disagreements on things. We're like, maybe that won't work, and then we come to a compromise, and then we'll take that to Universal and Colin and be like, we're thinking of doing this. and then we'll say like, you know, the fans have been wanting this for a long time, and maybe even present them with some examples of that. And then they, I mean, 9 times out of 10, fortunately, they agreed with a lot of the stuff that we were actually presenting. And then we go ahead and we'll actually go and write it and you know, see if it fits in. I tend to like listen to a lot of what the fans were saying, and research a lot of like the backstory. I used a lot of fan websites to come up with, you know, to see if anything clashed in the backstory, because the one thing, you don't want to write one thing and then the next thing you know, it's like clashing completely with something that some fan pulled out of
right, yeah.
so, like from somewhere. So it's all the process is it's very like relaxed. It's not like stressful or anything. Like the Universal and Colin very, very open to hearing new ideas. They're not like you know, oh, don't talk about this, or don't bring that up. It's like you know, we're never afraid to bring up something, but you know, we can't come to them and say like, oh shoot, can we have like a nod to dinosaur human hybrids as a joke for like the sales script or something? Like then they might be like, no, we don't want to mention that. It's like, we understand that there's a level of realism in this world that we need to kind of push, especially with our marking, because it's like you're when you're sat at your computer, you're on your phone on this site, you're in the world of Jurassic, like you're seeing the things that the characters are seeing and writing. So but yeah, the process is great. It's very open for discussion, and you know, like I mentioned before, like they'll tell us if they you know, don't like something, and you know, sometimes we could be frustrated with that. We're like, oh no, like we as fans, we're like, oh, we know that they'd really want to see it, but then after a little while we'll come to realize actually that makes sense for the world building that is happening in the new film. So we find that balance very easily, and you know, with the site all finished and said and done for the time being, you know, we're very happy with and proud of how it's turned out. I mean, I prefer the Dinosaur Protection Group to Masrani Global, even though Masrani Global will always have a special place in my heart as the first foray into Jurassic for us. But I loved writing for the new site, because that was where we really got to go to town on this Canon.
Oh yeah.
I guess to supplement that as well, you know, the way Jack and I typically work is just like we're talking now. It's like a Skype conversation, and you know, we sort of get a plan together of what's this world going to look like, or what's this website going to look like, and
what articles are we going to write?
Yeah, and it's like that. The whole point is that, you know, for that moment in time, someone should be able to go onto the Dinosaur Protection Group website, or the Masrani Global website, or Extinction Now, and they just for like a brief second, they can forget the world that they're in, and they can be in the world of Jurassic Park and Jurassic World for that moment, and you know, pretend as if they're going through and finding out new facts. And you know, quite often it's just a conversation with Jack and I about, you know, what article we want to do, or you know, what's the background to this company. Do we want to mention something about Whoo? I'll give you one story as well. Sometimes it's a conversation between Jack, Colin, and myself, and you know, we, again, as Jack was saying, we love to deep dive into, you know, the Crichton novels and the movies and even the games. We were having a conversation with Colin, and one of the questions I raised was, in the movie, do you mention what the name of the volcano is? And he said no. And we immediately go, well, you know, in Jurassic Park the game, as well as on the Masrani Global website, we refer to it as Mount Cebu. And Colin took that and he put it in the movie. You know, just from a conversation like that, we're world building, or you know, I guess that was already answered, but we're sort of taking it to another level by continuing its legacy.
Yeah, same with Sauna as well, because we spoke to Colin, we had a back and forth, and we're like, you know, do you mention Sauna in the movie? And he said not directly, and I'm assuming now at this time he means like, because Lockwood talks about Hammond's dream, like, and the speech he said at the end of The Lost World, which connects it and very much to the older films. And we convinced him to get Sauna mentioned. So then he eventually wrote the line where Mills mentioned Sauna. And I believe that's obviously done in ADR, I believe, because he's got his back turned to the camera when he says it. So
wow.
So we actually got Sauna mentioned by name. Yeah, and that was done later. It was originally going to be a BBC News ticker. It was going to be a thing that mentions the status of Sauna. But I feel like he wanted to. His news tickers were already like taken up, so like he changed it to. He mentioned that at the Madrid premiere, he mentioned that actually that got changed to Mills saying Sauna. So we were like, oh wow! So we affected that as well.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I much prefer it than what just happened. I like that. I like the fact that he says it then. Yeah, not that I don't like the little stuff in the news, but come on.
It feels more natural and more. To me, it feels a little bit more of an achievement to have a character say it. Yes. Out of the mouth instead of a news ticker. So yeah, it's like this. Our process with the law is very open with them, even down to helping the movie, which was cool.
Well, you guys were quite busy during all of this.
Yeah, it also came about because we said to Colin, there's a lot of fans looking at our website saying, what is going on with Sauna? And so we're like, and then some of them were speculating that we're killing off Sauna because we're trying to remove it from the canon. And it's like, it's the complete opposite. So Colin agreed to have Sauna mentioned in the movie because then it would quieten some of the naysayers who believe that those other films are being, uprooted from canon and disposed of. And it's like, not anymore. Hopefully that will calm them. So I'm glad he agreed.
Oh yeah, me too.
And JA for probably talking to Colin about it and having his, because it's a JA Biona movie,
right? Yeah,
and so he obviously would have had to agree with Colin on that. So so thanks to him as well, I guess.
Man, you guys have been all over the place. You've been to the set. You've had a little effective lore changes that are major questions that fans have asked for sometimes 20 years. So it's crazy.
It's because we've been asking the same questions, and we've.
Trust me, I know. I've had deep conversations with you before on this channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That being said, all of that out of the way, how much fun did you guys have working on Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom? What were your favorite memories just doing this?
I'll let you go first, Tim.
This has been a surreal experience. If you'd said, 5-10 years ago, this is you're going to end up working on the marketing for your favorite movie franchise one day.
What?
Get out of town! Get out of town! It sometimes I still have to pinch myself, and this is not an experience that I take lightly. It's got a huge amount of responsibility, and to be honest, I cannot think of any other director out there or studio who would let two basic fans from around the world and invite them into their world like this. So certainly credit to Colin, credit to Universal for allowing us to do that. As far as favorite moments go, to be honest, I think getting the email. Well, for me, it was an email. I think for Jack, it was a message on YouTube. But just, all those years ago saying, do you guys want to hop on the call? Let's talk. That's probably my favorite moment. And then, to be able to fly out to LA and meet Jack for the first time, meet Colin, meet the team. Those are some memories that are going to hold very dear to me.
Oh yeah, it was an email. It wasn't on YouTube. I didn't get any of this Jurassic stuff for YouTube. I have so many memories that I've now cherish, and like Tim said, it's so surreal to think back. There's so many fans who are like ourselves who've grown up with this franchise, who remember being 4 or 5 years old, sat on your knees in front of the TV watching your old VHS of Jurassic Park or The Lost World, and it's one of those moments where it's I never would have believed that we would get into this position, and as soon as that I say that out loud, it really hits me that the responsibility was so high to get this right, to get to make sure that we give the fans and work with Universal to create something that they have been asking for so long. That is like not just a fan project, but officially given the stamp of approval by the people who are in charge of this franchise. And you know, and it's one of those things where I feel very humbled by it. And yeah, and I just, because I'm still a diehard Jurassic Park fan, I still have the figures and like you know, and I still watch the movies on a regular basis. And even though I watch the films, I never, like watching the new film for a good example and seeing the sets that we visited, I'm never taking out of the experience. I'm never sat there going, oh yeah, look, I went to that set. I'm in the story and I'm still a fan of like the film, so I never get taken out of it, which was something I was worried about. I was genuinely worried that like working so closely with the production would actually ruin the experience of the Jurassic movies that I grew up with, but it hasn't, luckily. And so yeah, it's a very proud moment. But if I want to talk about a specific memory, I'll mention that when we went to visit the sets, which is like, that's like the umbrella of a great memory. There was one moment where we were in this room where there was like all this concept art for the Fallen Kingdom across the wall. Like, and you could spin in the middle of the room and look at all the concept art and see the film play out. And just seeing him,
wow.
and they had like models of all the sets below all these. So like you had all the like the Main Street destroyed, you had Lockwood Manor set, DPG, like little models of them. And I remember looking around the room, and then I, like in my head it cut back to that video of Spielberg being shown around the room with Trevorrow and Frank Marshall in the making of Jurassic World, where he's being shown around the concept art room. And I had a moment where I got a little bit choked up just to myself in the corner, looking at this picture of the T-Rex with Claire climbing on the back, like trying to get the blood. And then like I looked to my left and there's a picture of a mosasaur jumping out at a guy hanging from a helicopter with the T-Rex roaring behind it. And I was like going, this movie is going to be so fucking good. And I don't know how I'm stood in this room experiencing this when I still feel like that fan who sits on the floor and watches the movies and gets incredibly excited about it. So that was where the responsibility hit, and it was just one of those moments. And it happened again that day when I put my head in the T-Rex's mouth, and when we went to the Lockwood Manor set, it was like, that was where, like, for me, it really bubbled and boiled. It's like I've seen the sets and stuff in the making of for so long, but now I'm here, and it was just everything that you could imagine it being. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I just hope that it continues, because now we've really added so much to the lore that
oh yeah,
we have to make sure that they follow our lore now, you know. So.
Well, you guys have worked for a long time and worked really hard. And I just want to say personally, I want to thank you. As a fan of Jurassic Park, as a fan of The Lost World, Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, as a fan of the two books, and as a fan of the themes that all of this stuff plays into, just the fact that everything's not a box of puzzle pieces that a little 3-year-old's been shaking for the past 25 years. It's actually connected together now into a cohesive narrative of, you know, the beginning of the Jurassic Park story to where we've come right now. And it actually makes sense. Just, I personally want to thank you for that, because it's made a huge hell of a difference for me. So seriously.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
But I want to say a thank you to you, Clayton, because the reason we reached out to you to be one of the first guys to talk to us about our experiences, it's because I've been, obviously, as people know on this channel, I've been a fan of yours pretty much since you almost began doing I watched your Alien videos first before you did.
Jeez, God.
I found you for your Alien 3 review because I'm a big fan of that movie, and then you started doing Jurassic videos, and I was like, and you started covering the DPG stuff and the Masrani Global lore. You started covering the Masrani Global lore first, and you did it in such a way that I was like, this is why we write. You covered the backstory in a way that you almost were in our heads. You understood exactly the direction we were going, and you laid it out for other fans in a way that was, easy for them to digest, because we do. The websites are tailored more towards the deep fans who have been with this for a long time, and we hope to gain new fans through them. but there is a lot to chew over. But you lay it out in a way for fans to go. You could say like, go read this because it says X, Y, and Z, and it's really important, the backstory and all this sort of stuff. And so your coverage of our writing has truly been something that has made me feel like happy about what we've been doing. And yes, I want to say thank you to you as well.
Absolutely. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. You're welcome. I loved that. I loved everything you guys did. So it's also nice to throw out there. You know how long it took me to figure out that you have to type in Indominus on that backdoor site? Just staring at the like blue screen, typing in access main program, and nothing's happening.
we can talk about the backdoor for a minute. I mean, I guess for those that don't know, I mean, the backdoor was Jack's idea, and that's something that personally is probably my favorite thing that we've ever done. It was also the most difficult to get right because of the nature of what it is. But obviously, the Masrani Global website, when you go on it, you can only tell the information that a corporate would want to show on their website.
Yeah.
Whereas the backdoor was meant to be the dirty secrets, the dirty laundry, messages.
That's a part of Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
the whole hacking aspect of the the original movie, at least.
Exactly, and Jurassic, the whole Jurassic franchise has always been science and dinosaurs, yes, but it's always had this computing element to it, which makes it so unique. And the backdoor is a shout out to that.
And it was one of the first times we officially, back in the day, were able to give fans a timeline. Now there was a few dates that we got incorrect, and things have since changed.
A few things have changed as they do.
As they do. A couple of little tiny details, nothing too important. But yeah, it was the first time we got to give fans a timeline, which has since been expanded upon and has now started to appear in books and games. Like we came up with the Ibris project, which we said to Colin back then, we want to name the program that Owen's working on to control the raptors. So we came up with the Integrated Behavioral Raptor Intelligence Study. And that's
I think we probably, I remember that night we were Skyping and I think it was more along the lines of, wouldn't it be cool if we named it? Let's just do it. And we probably came up with that name in about 30 seconds.
It's awesome.
It was just amazing. It was probably the coolest thing that we've written, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's appeared in like books. It's now in Jurassic World Evolution. We don't get told some of this stuff. So I was playing it the other day and I was like, holy crap, like there's Ibris being mentioned in a video game. Like I wrote that ages ago and it's like now starting to filter through. And yeah, other details we know that Universe and Colin are really proud of, because there is an official like canon that they're building and we're helping them flesh it out. And yeah, in this canon is a lot of what we've written. So it's like, yeah, it's just truly awesome. And hopefully it'll, like you said, it's not a mixed up puzzle anymore. Hopefully pieces have landed in their place. And hopefully other pieces have started to form, because obviously we don't want to just have it end and be like, there you go, you know everything now. You want it to be like this continuation, because hopefully in like another 20 years time, someone else will be adding to the lore and building upon it in a wholly different way that we can't even imagine it. And then
Let's
I can
say 10
enjoy
years, not 20.
Yeah.
You don't want to wait that long.
Yeah.
I was imagining myself like Hammond, white beard, like with the can. Reading someone else's canon. I'm like, hey, they changed Ibris's name.
There's 2 S's now. What is this? Yeah. Well, again, thank you guys. I mean, it seriously is incredible for fans. I know a lot of people are super happy to see just the InGen list. All of the stuff, the Spinosaurus background. I could go on and on about it, but it's been incredible, and it's really cool to have you guys on here to talk about it. Seriously.
No worries. We're going to be working on an actual behind the scenes video, so I can actually show the list. It's only going to be a short thing. I'm waiting on a few of the guys on our team who were we didn't even mention them.
I was just about to say, we
got
actually had a team.
yeah, we had a team this time where it was just me and Tim and Manuel the first time. This time we convinced Universal that we have a company now. Can you hire our company? And so we did, and we have Manuel's back, who did all the CG and animations. He even did like the little animated Stegosaurus GIF as the site loads and all that. And we have Ross Lane and Sam Phillips, who are part of the podcast that we were a part of, and they obviously kind of knew what our involvement. So when we made our company, we're like, you've got to get you guys on. And they wrote, Sam and I wrote the carnivore article, and me and Ross wrote the paleo vet article together. And there's just, so I'm there to like help make the canon fit, and they write all the science and the backstory and what they want to write about. And then they both wrote the Sibu effect article together, Ross and Sam did. And then we had Yaroslav Kosmina, who's an artist who's a big Jurassic Park fan, who we brought on board because we saw him posting his amazing artwork. He has such a unique style, and the good thing about Yaroslav is he also is quite quiet with spoilers or anything like that. So we're like, okay, this guy is very trustworthy. Approached him, and he was more than happy to be involved. And we said, like, we've been to the set, we've seen all this artwork, we want you to. We gave him the artwork that Universal had sent over and said, like, do you want to recreate some of it and then have free reign over like what you want to draw? And then there was a couple of ideas we play, which you do. Like the old park article, I was like, wouldn't it be cool to see the T-Rex paddock, and then you could show how the moat worked by having like something climbing up the side or something. So
right,
you did brachiosaurs climbing up, and so we brought him on board to give a unique artistic touch to the website, because a lot of Jurassic fans really love unique artwork. Like with the old Kenner toys, you got the cards that had all the artwork on it, and the McDonald's cups that had that like cool artwork. So we wanted to bring that back to the franchise in a way and expand upon it. So yeah, I just want to say,
we were. I was with Clayton. We were at the Jurassic Park 25, sitting in the restaurant downstairs.
Oh my god! Yeah,
you had the mural there as well, and talking about, doesn't this look like something Yaroslav could do?
Yeah. Oh my god, I love. Yeah, and he's done some amazing work too. He's done this amazing banner. I think my favorite piece he's done is the Lost World.
Oh yeah, that's great.
That, oh my god, with Ian running with Sarah and Kelly in his hands and Roland Timbo by the RV and everything. Oh, it's incredible. Love it.
Yeah, he's just the best, and he works super fast as well. So like he did that picture of like all the cast and crew of
Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, where he actually printed off and gave to Colin at the premiere. He printed off a huge version of it. And Colin was amazed by it and gave it to him as a thanks. And then obviously when we announced our involvement publicly, we published it as a thanks to them. And he did that like super quick. Like he was working on that like a few days before the premiere, and then had it done, printed, and gave it to him. So, but yeah, we had a team this time, and with some of the guys that we've been like super happy to bring on board. And yeah, Chaos Theorem, our company, we're looking to expand in the future. So who knows where we're going to go from here? Yeah, we've got our own little projects in the that we're working on. Short film coming up towards the end of the year, hopefully, which we're writing right now, which I don't want to spoil.
Heard it here first.
Yeah, and some other gonna hopefully try and branch out to try and do some more viral marketing, not just Jurassic, but like do some other stuff. So we're just gonna sort of throw our rods out there and see what bites.
Okay, Jack, and where can they find you?
You can find me over on my personal Twitter account at Jack_Ewins, and visit our website, our company website, chaostheorem.com. It's a little bit bare at the moment, but we'll be filling it out real soon with the content we've made and other such bits.
And Tim?
Yeah, sorry, my Twitter handle is at chaos_Timothy. And yeah, over at chaostheorem.com, that's our website, and we will be doing a bit of an update to that website probably within the next, I'd say, month or two.
Yeah, so stay tuned. What's our company's Twitter, Tim? I forget that.
Oh yeah, so it's company Twitter is at Chaos Theorem LLC, all one word.
And,
Excellent.
I do videos, don't I, Clayton, over on YouTube. My Pterodome 3000,
You
which
do.
I've actually been bringing back to life finally, because obviously we're very busy over the last month or so. But now Jurassic World Evolution's out, I'm playing that so much now. So that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, we need to do a video together on that. I don't know how. I don't think there is a crossover thing. But
What we'll do is I'll dress up as Hammond, and I'll be in the right-hand corner of your gameplay, and I'll tell you what to do. Don't listen to the actual stuff.
Oh, dude, that's perfect. We should do that. Well, that's a great idea. We should do it. Okay, I'll work with you on that. That sounds great. You tell me what to do. I'll be your Woo. You be Hammond.
Oh, geez, God. Now, before I go, I want to thank my game wardens, as well as all of my InGen executives. I'd also like to thank all of my park workers and InGen hunters as well. It's extremely awesome to have all you guys help me build this thing up, and I seriously am eternally grateful for every ounce of support that you've shown me. Now, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video, and hope that you all enjoyed today's content. If you feel like I deserve it, I'd appreciate the like and hope that you'll consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing from me again. I'll see you in the next video, guys. And as always, take it easy.